Hello Reception families, I'm Miss Wild and I'm going to carry on talking to you about how we teach maths in reception. So, maths in a reception class is probably very different to your first experiences of learning about numbers. We obviously believe as reception teachers that children learn best through play. So much of the maths learning opportunities that we offer children are very active. There's lots of practical work, and it all involves a hands-on approach, so manipulating resources. So for example, you will see here that a child is learning to count with numbers, developing that one-to-one correspondence, making sure that they're not missing any numbers, and making sure that they have a deeper understanding of number. Okay, here we've got a child matching numerals and playing with it in a sensory way. And here is another sensory method of learning number, and in this case number formation, where they are using a marble to learn the formation of numbers. Okay, so there's lots of active play for maths, and as a result there is very little formal recording of children's maths learning in reception. You will have noticed through the observations that have been sent out that there are lots of lovely maths activities which you will see through those, and you should be able to clearly understand what maths they are learning through those photographs. Okay, so a typical maths lesson in reception consists of the following. So we start our maths lessons by teaching a warm-up activity. So that's just to get those mathematical brains thinking. So it might be a number game, for example, thinking about, I'm thinking of a number, what might it be? Counting with actions, or simply just reinforcing those number recognition skills, knowing that the number 0 is 0 or the number 1 is 1. Okay. And then following the warm-up activity, there will be the main teaching activity. So teachers will introduce a skill or a concept. For example, adding, subtraction, one more, one less. Okay, and during those main teaching inputs, children will have the opportunity to learn those skills, how we approach mathematical challenges, and have opportunities to explore those in a shared learning context. So they may be exploring resources from a maths pack with their learning partners. They may be responding to something that their class teacher is modelling and thinking about how they can achieve that themselves. And usually during these main teaching inputs, we will generate a steps to success with the children so that they really have those mathematical skills and understandings to tackle those mathematical problems themselves, following on from the teaching input. So once the maths lesson is finished, during activity times, teachers will then work with small groups of children to consolidate and extend those skills that have been introduced in the main teaching part of the lesson. There will also be an opportunity for the rest of the children to self-select from a range of activities in the learning environment. So we always provide a variety of maths opportunities, both indoors and outdoors. So indoors we have a maths area where the activities will reflect that current learning and they can develop those skills independently. Similarly in outdoor learning too. Okay, in reception, a large part of the children's mathematical experience comes through their independent learning and play. So as I said earlier on, we believe that children learn best through play, particularly at this age, and that is extended through their time at Stanford Infant School. So you will see here that there are a range of opportunities for children to continue to develop their mathematical thinking and skills through play. So here there's a child playing a shop role play, learning about money. Here there is a child counting the sticks and matching the numerical amount. And here they're just simply playing a number game, okay? So towards the end of the year, your child will be working towards achieving and developing their mathematical thinking in 2 areas. So that will be number and then shape, space and measure, okay? The early learning goals for number, the children will be working towards the following statements. So children will be expected to count reliably with numbers from 1 to 20. Okay, so to achieve this, we are working on developing children's skills of one-to-one correspondence. So making sure that they are counting one object at a time, make sure that they're not missing any numbers when they are counting, as well as reciting numbers. So simply being able to count from 0 to 20. You know, we also practice counting backwards or practice counting on from a number. So counting on from 12 to 20. Okay, and that's so that those children have a real deep sense of number. They understand what that number means. Okay, children are also expected to work towards placing them in order and saying the number that is one more or one less than a given number. Initially, children develop these skills through counting rhymes, songs, stories, and games, but towards the end of the year, they will be able to say that 7 is 1 more than 6, or 5 is 1 less than 6. Okay. Children are also working towards adding and subtracting 2 single-digit numbers. So they're not expected to remember these number skills or number facts, but they are taught to develop these skills through counting on or back to find the answer. And children will learn how to add and subtract using physical hands-on resources. Okay, and lastly, the final statement working towards the number early learning goal is solving problems, including doubling, halving and sharing. So for example, doubling, they might look at the ladybird's spots. Can they mirror the amount of spots on each wing? Halving and sharing, we might have the cookie challenge, where some visitors come to the door and they have a plate of cookies and they have to share them equally between their friends. So all of the following statements, they will develop these skills towards this through real life experiences and play. Okay. We use a range of resources to develop these skills. So during the whole class teaching inputs, as I referred to earlier, that children have access to a pack of resources called a maths pack. And the following resources might be included in this maths pack for children to use to develop their number skills. So we use Numicon to help children understand number ideas and relationships. Okay, the reason that this is so effective in developing those skills is because it is a visual and kinesthetic resource, which really helps to scaffold and support children's mathematical understanding. So you will see here, a child has matched the Numicon to the number. Okay, and it's great because you'll notice on the Numicon you can count the holes, you can put Numicon together to make a different number, you can line them up with one another to see one more, one less. They're a fantastic number resource for finding the difference, number bonds, odds and evens, that sort of thing. Another resource that we like to use and is part of our maths pack are tens frames. So we use 10 frames to help children understand number and the early concepts of addition and subtraction. So you can see here, this child has written the number sentences, addition number sentences. This child has used magnetic numbers to make number sentences. Okay, we encourage children to follow their own choice and their own interests. So if they enjoy writing and fine motor is something that they perhaps particularly strong at, they might choose to write the number sentence. But if they want to make the number sentence using magnets or objects, then they can also do that too. Okay, so that's number, and then shape, space and measure is the second mathematical early learning goal. So children will use everyday language to talk about size, weight, capacity, position, distance, time and money. So this is the introduction to their understanding of shape and space and measure. They will also compare quantities and objects and solve problems. So as I mentioned earlier, the doorbell challenge with the plate of cookies, we offer the children real life opportunities to develop these shape, space and measure activities, to develop these shape, space and measure understanding, sorry. Children will also recognise, create and describe patterns. So your children may be interested in creating repeating patterns. And they will explore characteristics of everyday objects and shapes using mathematical language to describe them. So you can see here, a child has used shapes to create a picture. They can think about the qualities of a shape, identifying shapes too. You can see here, children are measuring their height against each other. Okay, so you're probably thinking, how can you help your child at home? You're all doing a fantastic job of supporting your children at home at the moment, so we're really grateful for that. But here are some other examples of how you can do this. We do suggest that you have a set of number cards. These can either be bought commercially, online, or homemade, as simple as writing a number on a piece of paper. These will help your child to learn and recognise all of the numerals from 1 to 10. And then once they are secure in numbers from 1 to 10, then following on through to 20. Okay. A really lovely way of developing those number skills is pointing out numbers that you see in everyday activities. For example, walking along the road, children might spot numbers on road signs or the bus, or numbers on the door of a house, on number plates. Another real life experience, when you go shopping, children might recognise numbers on the prices of things. Yeah. And then another really important aspect of children's numeral development is understanding and having a sense of the number. So the number 0 is really, really important that children always understand the sense of 0 as a number, because that will then continue to support them in their later number skills as they go through the school. So we describe 0 as nothing or none. Children will very excitedly shout, 0 means nothing. And that's really important that they understand that. Okay. As well as understanding all of these numbers, you can just have fun with numbers at home. Okay. You can play mathematical games such as snakes and ladders, dominoes, Skittles, Snap, and any other games that involve numbers, counting, calculating, and scoring. Okay, how else can you help your children at home? So, as we said earlier, children learn best through play. Children also learn best when they learn through their own personal interests. So really capitalise on children's hobbies. Most children's hobbies can be linked to maths activities. So football, cars, trains, dolls. They can simply gather a collection of objects that they are interested in and count those objects. Can you give me one more car? Can you give me one less car? Can you count the total amount of objects that you have? Be creative. Encourage your children to spot shapes and patterns in the environment. They'll have a keen eye for it. They'll be pointing it out all the time if you encourage them to. And these really discrete learning opportunities help to consolidate their understanding of mathematical concepts such as number and shape and space. Shape, space and measure. Talk about the time. You can introduce the seasons, talk about it on the way to school. You can talk about the difference between day and night, morning, afternoon, evening, the days, the months, the years. Talk about when people's birthdays are. Telling the time. If you've got an analog clock, talk about the numbers. Focus on o'clock, so 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock first. So 8 o'clock might be bedtime. 7 o'clock might be dinner time. 6 o'clock might be bath time. Okay, so discuss those main events of the day that children can then relate to when they extend their understanding of time. Cooking is a great way of developing children's measuring skills. Involve your child in cooking activities, encourage them to measure the ingredients, encourage them to count how many carrot sticks they might be having for snack. Those simple things really help to develop those number skills. And then make the most of technology. If you have something that they can practice their number skills on through educational apps or websites, make the most of it. You know, there's lots of fantastic things out there that children can access to continue to develop those skills. So the most important thing that you can take from this is make sure maths is fun. We want children to grow up as mathematical thinkers and really understand and use those mathematical skills that they are developing throughout their time in school. Okay, if you do have any questions, then please don't hesitate to ask your class teachers. If you want to ask and help develop an understanding of your child's mathematical understanding on an individual basis and would like some support in further supporting them at home, then please do ask. Thank you. Bye.